Hey everybody, welcome to Sid's Little Corner of the Internet. We've got another Transformers review coming your way. This time around we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers War for Cybertron Kingdom Autobot Pipes. So as we always do, let's go ahead and take a look at that packaging first. And you have Autobot Pipes right up top. And then down here you get to see his alt mode. It's Transformers Kingdom, Transformers at the side. You get that Kingdom artwork on the side. On the back you get your product shots, so you can see him in both of his modes. You get your warnings, and you get your little sad baby. Over here on that quarter panel, you see him in his bot mode. He is a deluxe class, and then if you just turn that to the side a little bit, you can see both modes. Up top, Transformers War for Cybertron, WFC K32. Down low, you have all your manufacturing information. So that's it for the package, so let's go ahead and see what came inside that box. Behold, laid out here before you is everything that came with the Kingdom Pipes, and we'll start as we always do with the little sheet of warnings, and you get his instruction booklet. And then of course, because he is War for Cybertron Kingdom and he's a deluxe class or higher, you do get your collectible stickers. So you have the golden disc on the opposite side, and then on this side I get Unicron. And as I've said before, yes, I know they're stickers. No, I'm not going to peel them. They are what they are. This one, as a matter of fact, has a little bit of a curl to it. So there you go. All right, so other than those items, the only other things that he comes with are his two accessories. So you've got his arm cannons, hand cannons, shoulder cannons, whatever you want to call them. And they are identical. So we'll just take a look at one here as far as the close-ups go. Not a lot to see. It is just decked out in that silver paint. And you can see on the underside here, it is just white molded plastic. And you've got a few hollow areas, but for the most part, they look good. They are FX compatible. And yeah, there's not much else to say about them. So there you go. All right, so that's it for everything that came with Pipes. So let's go ahead and bring him in for his close-up and take a look at those details. All right, here he is, the bot we've all been waiting to see. This is the War for Cybertron Deluxe Class Pipes. So let's go ahead and bring him in and take a look at what he has to offer. And we'll start right up here on the back of that cab with that tampographed Autobot logo, which looks pretty good there. And coming down to the head, yeah, looks good. And then there's his chest. So not a lot to talk about here. A good amount of detail. And yeah, we've seen this all. If this all feels familiar, we've seen all this between Huffer, Road Ranger, and Puffer. So yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of redundancy going on here, but looks good. Those blues and whites. And there he is from the side. We'll lift that arm up and get it out of the way. So you can see up underneath there. All looks pretty good. And he's got those big old white hands. With those big old white arms. And then over here on the back, got a little bit of truck cab hanging off. And then you've got those hollow areas in the back. But they are what they are. This is just, these fold up for transformation. So yeah, I mean, they're not the worst. And then you do have those huge heel spurs. These really help with the stability of the figure. So you definitely get him in some nice poses. Speaking of poses, let's go ahead and talk about the articulation. So you're not going to do much with this head. There's really no wiggle in it at all. So you're just going to turn it and leave it at that. I mean, you can get just a tick of up and down, but it's negligible. All right, and moving on to the shoulder. Shoulders will come up that far. They'll do the full 360. And then at the elbow, you're going to get just under 90, and you get bicep rotation. And then if you want to use it for whatever reason, you can tuck these hands in if you want to do something like that. Now this is for transformation, but hey, if it helps in a pose, it helps in a pose. That's what I say. All right, you do get waist rotation, so you can turn that waist around however many degrees you need. And then down here at the legs, you're going to get the splits about that far. And you can kick forward that far. You can kick backward that far. And your knee bend is pretty much as deep as you want to go, since this is a transformation joint. All right, you do get thigh rotation. And then down here at the feet, you can disconnect these ankles. It's not really a strong enough joint to hold any poses. But if you want to use this as the non-supporting foot for some reason, you could do that. Otherwise, you just get this ankle tilt right there. All right, so yeah, details. We've kind of seen it all before with the other three versions of this mold, and articulation is the same as those other three figures as well. So you can definitely get this guy in some nice dynamic poses and have a lot of fun with him. But there's nothing whatsoever groundbreaking about this figure. All right, so that being said, let's go ahead and get this guy accessorized up. We'll take a look at him in bot mode with everything you can do with those accessories, and we'll go from there. Say what you will about the cash grab that is releasing this mold for a fourth time for a fourth character, virtually unchanged from the other three, but it is a fun mold. You can get this guy in some really cool poses, and with those blast effects, you can just have an absolute ball with this guy. And although the accessories that he comes with are not the greatest, I mean, they're just a couple of those guns. They are FX compatible, so you can do those up any way you want and really have a good time with this guy. So a lot of good playability here, a lot of good posability. He does have that 3mm port on the back, so you can throw a flight stand on this guy and get him in just about any pose you can imagine. So he does have a great shelf presence from that standpoint. But yeah, there you go. I wanted to show this to you with all the blast effects, with his accessories on, so you could just get an idea of what you could do with this guy. So what we'll do now, I'm not going to do any transformation. If you want to see the transformation on this guy, or this mold, you can go back and watch my Huffer review or the Puffer Road Ranger review. So we're just going to jump right into the alt mode and take a look at this guy in his semi mode and go from there. Aw, isn't he just the most adorable little blue truck you have ever seen? This is Pipes, guys, in his alt mode, and he actually really does look good. As I said earlier, this is a good mold. Yeah, it's the fourth iteration that we've seen of it, but it's still a good mold. And yeah, this color scheme and everything it really works for me. I really like the way this guy looks. So let's go ahead and bring him in, take a look at his details in this mode. And you can see, starting off right in the front there, you've got those smoky windows with that blue cab. You've got that nice paint for the bumper. You've got some paint for the headlights, for the windshield wipers. All that looks good. And coming around to this side, it's the same complaint that I've had with this mold from the beginning, is he's got a little bit of see-through there. You can see right through him, but okay. And then there's his big old smokestacks, and he does have those nice wheels and tires, so there's no mushroom pegs that are obvious or showing there, which I really do appreciate. And then coming around to the back here, yeah, you can kind of sort of see his hands, but it's just like every other version of this mold. I really sincerely do like what they've done with the accessories here with the guns. I mean, that just sets it off. He's a rocket truck. No doubt about it. He's a rocket truck. So coming around to the back, you do get some tail lights, and we'll pay no mind to these big hollow areas right here. Let's not worry about that. And then coming back around to this side, for the most part, I think he looks good. He pulls it off. I don't quite have my hands straight. We'll not worry about that right now. I didn't quite get those straightened out. Sorry about that, guys. Hastily transforming the figure. There we go. All right, that was the top. And on the bottom, there you go. So not a lot of visible robot kibble there. I mean, you could have visible head syndrome there if you wanted to turn his head around, but that's totally up to you. All right, so yeah, there he is, Mr. Pipes in his alt mode. And before we get into the comparisons, we'll accessorize him up in this mode too, just because it's so much darn fun, and who doesn't want to see the rocket truck? So let's get him accessorized up, take a look at him there, and then we'll jump into those alt mode comparisons. Oh yeah, rocket truck. I like it. Here he is. Here is Mr. Pipes, all accessorized up in his alt mode, using every effects port that you can essentially reach. You know, theoretically, you could use his hands and maybe these effects ports down here, but they're just really difficult to reach and try to put any type of effect in, so I just avoided those. And for the most part, you can have this guy going buck wild. So no shortage of effects ports, no shortage of things that you can do here. And of course, he does have that rocket truck ability, which is, it's worth the price of admission. And really, I mean, even if you just take, let's go ahead and just take everything else off and just have just those rocket truck effects. Oh my gosh. It's almost like being a little kid again, you know, when you're just using your imagination. So how cool is this? All right, so there you go with the accessories in vehicle mode with all the blast effects. And now what we'll do is we'll jump into those alt mode comparisons and see how he stacks up against some other figures out there. So for our first alt mode comparison, I figured it was only appropriate to begin with the OG. So this is the War for Cybertron Kingdom Pipes on the left, and on the right is my original G1 pipes. And you can see how those two guys look next to each other. And I think it's a really decent homage that Hasbro has done here to go from the G1 to the new War for Cybertron Deluxe class. For our next comparison, here we see the War for Cybertron Kingdom Pipes next to another blue truck. This is Wheelie, the little radio-controlled truck that was a Decepticon and became an Autobot in Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, the Bayverse film. So you can get an idea of scale there, toy to toy. This right here is probably our most relevant comparison. So this is Pipes, this is Puffer. There is no difference between these two guys other than the color of the plastic, the color of the paint, so on and so forth. But as far as physical geometry goes, these two guys are exactly the same. So you can see what a little bit of a color change does there. I mean, I like the way Puffer looks, but Pipes really pulls it off for me with those whites and blues. So there you go. For our final alt mode comparison, here we have a group shot of what I'm going to call the Huffer Family. Yeah, that sounds good. So starting from the left, we have Puffer, Pipes, Huffer, and Road Ranger. And these two guys are exactly the same, and these two guys are exactly the same. So there you go. That'll do it for the alt mode comparisons. So let's get this guy transformed back into his bot mode and jump into those bot mode comparisons. All right, everybody. So before we jump into those bot mode comparisons, I do want to say, frankly, this is the fourth time I'm reviewing this figure between Pipes, Puffer, Road Ranger, and Huffer. And I'm getting a little bored. So I'm going to have a pretty wide variety of bot mode comparisons here, so buckle up, it's going to be a fun ride. And we're going to start with the original here, the OG G1 Pipes, so you can see how those two guys look together. And I do really like the fact that they've even brought over the Autobot symbol from behind the head to the new pipes. So it's nice little touches like that I really appreciate. Next comparison is the Revenge of the Fallen Wheelie toy that came out when that movie came out. Not a studio series, just the standard Bayverse movie line of toys that came out when Revenge of the Fallen premiered. Moving on, here we see the Kingdom Pipes next to Orion packs from, I believe, Power of the Primes. For our next comparison, here we see Kingdom Pipes next to the Generations Blitzwing. Why? Because I wanted to. Next up, we see Pipes beside the Transformers Prime Ultra Magnus. Here we see Pipes beside the Megatron figure that came out with the premiere of the Transformers Dark of the Moon Bayverse movie. Here we see Pipes next to the Leader Class Optimus Prime from the Transformers Revenge of the Fallen Bayverse movie. Representing the Studio Series line of figures, here we see Pipes beside the Bone Crusher. Much like Huffer, Puffer, and Road Ranger, Pipes can also tow Optimus Prime's trailer from the War for Cybertron line. So here we see Pipes next to the War for Cybertron Leader Class Optimus Prime. And for our final robot mode comparison, here you have that group family photo, if you will. So from left to right, you have Pipes, Huffer, Puffer, and Road Ranger. Now that we have the bot mode comparisons out of the way, let's get into those final thoughts. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the Transformers War for Cybertron Kingdom Pipes. In short, my brief assessment here is this is yet another remold of an already good design. So this is the 4th iteration. Nothing shocking here. I mean, Hasbro does it with the Seekers all the time, so why not with the Huffer family, if you will. So really, this is going to be your call. Do you want to add yet another Huffer mold to the family? If you don't, you can skip this guy. If you've got that sense of nostalgia like I do, and he does look really good in these colors, then he'll be worth picking up for you. All that being said, let's go ahead and quantify this guy a little bit. And we'll start with aesthetics. As I just mentioned, the overall aesthetic here, he looks good. I mean, as far as the whites and the blues and the paint and the overall look, kind of carrying over from that G1 Pipes, he really captures it. He looks very, very well done. Great shelf presence on this figure. So I'm going to give this guy a 9 out of 10 for his price range, for the deluxe price range, for the aesthetics. Moving on to the articulation, there's nothing new here. We've seen it in 3 other molds. He pretty much does what you want him to do, and he's got nice dynamic range of motion. Not going to spend a whole lot of time on this, but yeah, I mean, articulation's okay. He gets an 8 out of 10 on articulation. Moving on to the accessories. Yeah, the accessories are kind of lame. They really are. I'm just going to say it. It's the same thing that we got with Puffer, only in silver. And it would have been nice to have had a little bit of variety. Maybe had a regular gun, maybe throw in a shield. As I always say, throw in some blast effects. Hey, that would be nice. As you can tell, the one nice thing is those accessories, they are blast effect compatible, so you can have yourself a really good time with those. It just would have been nice if they would have, maybe had something different there. So for the accessories, I'm giving him a 7 out of 10. Moving on to quality. I have no issues with this figure. Paint looks good. The plastic is all molded correctly. Joints are tight. He does everything I want him to do. Came with everything he was supposed to. So overall quality, I'm giving this guy a 9 out of 10. Bringing us to our last point, overall value. This is the one where I'm going to hit him hard. Like I said earlier, this is yet another remold. This is the 4th iteration of the Huffer mold. You have Huffer, you have Road Ranger, you have Puffer, and you have Pipes. So kudos to Hasbro and Takara for milking every last cent out of this figure that they can, or out of this mold. But yeah, this one's a tough one. Like I said, if you like Pipes, you have that sense of nostalgia, and he does have a really good shelf presence, he'll be worth it, for you. But if Huffer's enough, you can skip this guy. You're not missing anything. There's nothing new or revolutionary or groundbreaking here. So I did find this guy in the wild. I picked him up at a local Walmart. He was $21 US. And for me, he's worth it, but it's right on the edge. Like, I saw him, I picked him up, that initial excitement of, oh, a new figure, oh yeah, I must get him. And then I had a few moments to think about it. I'm like, do I really want this guy? So it was a bit of a struggle for me to walk out of the store with him. Ultimately, I'm glad I got him. He looks good with the other guys. But I really personally feel like this is a very skippable figure. This is just the remold Seeker style cash grab that Hasbro is known for. So overall value, I'm giving this guy a 6 out of 10, which brings us to a grand total out of 50. He gets a total of 39 points out of 50, which puts him at a 78%, which makes this figure, if you don't have Huffer or Puffer or Road Ranger, this guy's an easy recommend because it's a fun mold. He can tow the War for Cybertron trailer. He's got good posability, all that stuff going for him. But he's the 4th freaking mold, or the 4th figure out of this same mold. So that's the downside. If you've got these other guys, or even Huffer, and you don't want to pick this guy up, by all means, skip him. So with that being said, that's going to end the review. Hope you got some good information out of this. Hope you were entertained. And if you haven't already done so, be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. And feel free to leave a comment or two and let us know what you think. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up. Until we see you guys in the next review, take care.